I'm Jeanie with Jeanie Marten Real Estate, and this is your Murphy Real Estate Market Report for June of 2026. Thank you for tuning in. Whether you're a homeowner, a buyer, or just someone who likes to keep tabs on the community, I've got some genuinely interesting numbers to walk through with you today. This month's data tells a more complicated story than it looks like on the surface, so stick with me here. At first glance, June looks like a strong month for Murphy sellers. Prices are up, sales volume is up, but when I dug a layer deeper into the data, a different picture emerged. One about the size of homes that sold, not just their price tags. I'll walk you through the headline numbers first and then show you why the full story is more nuanced. As of today, there are 69 active residential listings in Murphy. That's a healthy, elevated inventory level compared to where this market sat back in 2021 and 2022. And it continues to give buyers meaningfully more selection than they had a few years ago. In June 2026, there were 13 closed residential sales in Murphy. In June of 2025, there were 12. That's a modest increase of about 8% in sales volume year over year, a sign that buyer activity in Murphy remains steady. Prices on those June 2026 closings range from $487,000 up to $1.17 million. A year ago, in June of 2025, the range was $420,000 to $845,000. Right away, you can see that this year's sales skewed toward larger, higher-priced homes. And that's the thread I want to pull on for the rest of this report. Here's where I need you to lean in, because the headline number and the real story are two different things. The median close price in Murphy in June of 2026 was $623,500. In June of 2025, it was $560,000. On its face, that's an 11.3% increase year over year. And if I stopped there, you'd walk away thinking Murphy home values jumped sharply in the last 12 months. But when I look closer at what actually sold, I noticed something important. The homes that closed this June were simply bigger. The median size of a home sold in Murphy this June was 3,583 square feet. A year ago, it was 3,015 square feet. That's nearly 570 additional square foot. Almost a 19% increase in the typical home size. So I ran the numbers on price per square foot, which strips out the size difference and gets us to a true apples to apples comparison. And here's what I found. At least it's as much as it can be apples to apples, because they're in different locations, but it's still Murphy. Anyway, here's what I found. The median price per square foot in Murphy actually fell from $202.39 in June of 25 to $193.35 in June of 26, a decline of about 4.5%. The average price per square foot tells the same story, down roughly 3.7 year over year. In plain terms, Murphy home values on a per square foot basis are softer than they were a year ago. The reason the median sales price looks higher is that more large homes happen to sell this particular month. Not because smaller and mid-size homes are worth more. If you're a seller with a smaller or mid-size home in Murphy, I don't want you looking at that 11% headline number and assuming your home is appreciated by that much, because the data doesn't actually support that on the per square foot basis. The median days on market in Murphy in June of 2026 was 17 days. In June of 25, it was 13 days. So homes are taking just a little bit longer to sell than they were a year ago. Modestly slower, though still a fairly quick pace for this market. This is consistent with a market that has more inventory and slightly less urgency among buyers than it had 12 months ago. The aggregate sales price to list price ratio in Murphy came in at approximately 97.9% in June of this year, compared to about 97.6% in June of last year. That's essentially flat. Sellers are getting a similar percentage of their asking price now as they were a year ago, with buyers negotiating roughly 2 cents on the dollar either way. Seller concessions remain a real estate feature in this market. looking at the closed sales I sampled in June of 2026, 6 out of the 13 closings, about 46% included a seller-paid contribution towards the buyer's closing costs, ranging from around $1,800 all the way up to $20,000. In June of 2025, only 4 out of 12 closings, about 33%, included some seller-paid amount, ranging from a token few dollars up to $10,000. That's a meaningful increase in both the frequency and the size of the concessions being offered. If you're a seller in Murphy right now, budgeting for some level of buyer assistance is increasingly the norm rather than the exception. So let's put it all together. Sales volume is up modestly, days on market crept up a little, the sale to list ratio is essentially unchanged, and while the median sale price looks like it jumped 11%, that increase is almost entirely explained by a shift toward larger homes selling in this particular market. On a price per square foot basis, Murphy values are actually down modestly in the 4% range year over year. That's a more measured, more honest read of this market than the headline number alone would give you. Murphy isn't booming, but it also isn't collapsing. It's a market where buyers have more selection, sellers are increasingly offering closing cost help to get the deals done, and true per square foot values are drifting slightly lower rather than higher. For sellers, the message is price based on comparable price per square foot analysis for your home's specific size, not on the headline median you might see in a news article, because that median can be skewed by what happened to sell that month. For buyers, the message is you're negotiating in a market with real selection, modest concessions, and pricing that isn't running away from you. That's Murphy for June of 2026. Sales are up slightly, homes are a bit bigger this year, and true values are holding steady or slightly softer once you adjust for size. If you're thinking about buying or selling in Murphy and want a pricing conversation specific to your home's square footage and neighborhood, I'd love to help. I'm Jeanie Marten with Jeanie Marten Real Estate. Thank you for watching, and if this was helpful, please share it with someone who loves Murphy as much as we do. Until next time, take care.